No
Yes.
timer.
Give it
Awesome
up for
job,
rounded
everybody that's
corners.
gone.
Oh, yeah, I got my
Yes,
fingers
rounded
crossed for rounded
corners.
corners, rounded corners.
Keep an eye out for those 5 to 10 rounded corners. All right, cool.
All right.
Oh, so happy Friday, everybody, and good morning. Thank you for your time today, as I'll be bringing you through my redesign of the Sports Fever website. Sports Fever is the largest licensed retail sports chain in California. Now, they've been providing customers with the best selection of hats, jerseys, and shirts for every professional team nationwide since 1984. Actually, wait a second. I just got a package today. Oh my God, this came so quick, and it's exactly what I wanted. Tom Brady jersey, let's go. So I'm excited to share with you today all the work that I've done, but let me first set the stage. So what you have in front of you is my agenda. In the first half of this presentation, I will uncover the challenges that Sports Fever is currently experiencing in keeping up with the digital times, with customers and with direct and indirect competitors. In the second half, I'll walk you through my research techniques and my prototypes designed to create a seamless user experience. Now, you may be asking yourself, what could possibly be wrong with a business dubbed the leader and largest retail sports chain in California? Well, here's a stat for you. Consumers spent over $861 billion online with US merchants last year, up an incredible 44% year over year. Now more than ever, it's important for businesses to be set up right online and set up to convert traffic into customers. The standard has been raised of conducting business online. And unfortunately, this is not happening with Sports Fever, which is why they called me in. Now, why isn't it happening? Now, I conducted a competitive analysis on 5 of Sports Fever's direct and indirect competitors. Using a third-party tool, I found that Sports Fever is actually competing with over 3,000 other businesses when it comes to SEO keywords. The brands you see around the border are the ones that I analyzed. And I found some small wins, but some major opportunities. These are not challenges, these are opportunities. And as I mentioned, these standards have been raised since everybody is just so used to that norm of all these companies. They're doing it so right. What happens and why, how can we help? Well, customers need to come first. They need security. They need to know exactly what they're buying, and they need to trust the company they are about to hand over their credit card info to. But what do we all need the most, especially during a pandemic? Maya Angelou said it best. I've learned that people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, that they will never forget how you made them feel. So I asked myself, how can I make people feel good about visiting and using the Sports Fever website so they come back again and again and tell their friends, tell their family about their awesome experience? First, I needed to find out what made them feel bad. People felt stuck, confused in initial usability tests. And really, who are those people that we're talking about? Well, let me introduce Big Game James, 31 HR professional who loves sports. He wants and needs to quickly and confidently compare options so that he can spend more time doing the things that he loves, like watching sports or even attending a game with his friends. Now, how might we make it as easy as possible for Big Game James to research and purchase his favorite team's apparel in an efficient manner online? So I went to the drawing board with some great user research under my belt. Here are some initial sketches of how I wanted this site to look. Now, Big Game Jameses of the world they want their experience. They know exactly where they are on the website. The product descriptions and shipping timelines are clear, and navigating this site is seamless. But on that note, I had to also take into account the non-sports fans. Maybe James's girlfriend that may came over to the Sports Fever website to maybe buy her partner some gear. Here are now some wireframes that, as I wanted to put this together, I kept finding myself really using those competitors and understanding what they were doing well. And well for not only the James persona, but those other people too. Inclusion is very important nowadays. It always has been. Which is why I conducted a card sort that included people who were not part of my user persona. My research led me to change the professional associations names like MLB and NHL to help people easier understand with terms like baseball and hockey. The goal is making everybody on the website feel good. But let's focus on making James feel good. He's our guy. His friend just invited him to the Patriots game next week, and he realized after looking through his drawers, he doesn't have any Patriots gear. Oh no. And this user flow actually depicts really how he would go about achieving that goal, whether it's on our site or competitors. Remember, we have tons of people doing the same thing we do, but how can we make it as easy for him to do that? So now I'm going to show you my mid-stage prototype. And let me just give you a better idea of what it actually looks like when you land on it. Mid-stage prototype around creating a more seamless shopping experience on sportsfever.com to prevent website users from getting frustrated and leaving the page to shop elsewhere. Based on the brief, I wanted to make sure I checked off all the boxes. First off, once you land on the page, right at the bottom.
Hey, Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm still seeing your card sorting page, your card sorting slide, and it sounds as though you've moved on in your presentation.
Okay, let me stop share.
I want to make sure we see all of your goodness.
Okay, how about now?
It says
I can see you're trying to screen share.
But great catch, Julie, because I was so into the narrative.
Yeah, I was in the story.
Okay, well,
wait, that sounds like prototype talk. Hold on.
I don't know how this happens, but let me see if I can start the presentation over. Okay, I'm trying to share again.
We're just seeing the black screen that says you've started screen sharing, unfortunately.
It probably needs a second for it to finally pop up. Do you have other apps open or windows, browser windows?
Let's see.
If someone else is able to share for you, maybe we can try and do that.
Great
Fantastical idea.
Okay.
Go to P2s.
I could do it since I'm going next.
Okay, cool. You already have it open?
Yes, let me find it.
Yeah, so it's under the presentation page. Let me try one last chance here. Okay.
There
so
it
go,
is.
Dang it.
It's like Christmas. There it is. Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, so we were on card or, well, we were.
User flow?
Yeah, we can go right back to the user flow one.
Okay.
Perfect.
And just say next when you want me to switch over.
Sure. Okay. So let me see, user flow. I was just so in the zone. Okay. So back to the user flow. We're here to make James feel good. Now, his friend had just invited him to a Patriots game, and he realized he doesn't have any warm Patriots gear. This user flow depicts how easy and straightforward the process would be on our redesigned website. but also keep in mind, this will be the same process at those competitors as well. So we really have to make sure this experience is seamless. Next slide. Thank you. So now I'm showing you, it's probably best if you just keep this view, Rachel, because I get some scrolling things going on. But okay, so I'm showing you my mid-stage prototype around creating a more seamless shopping experience on sportsfever.com to prevent website visitors from getting frustrating and leaving the page. In terms of the project brief, I want to make sure I hit all points. First, business contact information. You find that along the bottom of the global footer. Contact us. You might need a magnifying glass, but it is down there. And what this allows customers to do is if they ever want to, they can pick up the phone if they have questions. Next is the about us, right? Building that rapport with the customers. If someone's looking for that, this may be a site that James comes on and doesn't necessarily know much about. So he needs to feel safe in knowing that he's working with a legitimate business. Now, Rachel, if you don't mind just going up to the search bar, because James wants to find something. He wants to find it fast, right? The game is next week and he needs it as soon as possible. So he goes in, types in Patriots. He goes down to Patriots hoodies because here in New England, it is brick city, as they may say, or just freezing cold. So click on those hoodies. Great. Now, James is allowed to browse products related to his selection here. If he wants, he can go over. And Rachel, if you don't mind just clicking on the men dial under filters. And essentially, he's now looking at all of sweatshirts that he can now buy for himself. One thing I wanted to direct your attention to is underneath that first column, which you may not be able to see right now, but there's an award icon that actually says most popular in sweatshirts and fleeces. This I thought was a great way to direct his attention to something that other people were buying, right? People love to feel that, hey, I'm not the only one doing this. This was a strategy that I actually took right from a direct competitor. And I thought they did that really well. So go ahead and now sort where it says top sellers, Rachel, above that first, yep. And then James is on a budget, so he wants to go lowest price. And right in the middle, or right in the front, is the daily deal, right? He wants to save his money because he knows he's about to drop $200 on beers and hot dogs at the game. So he then clicks into the product. We now see that he has everything in front of him. He can pick his size, he can pick his quantity, and also if he wants to shop around a little more, across the bottom are other relevant products. For now, he's a large, he only needs one. He's going to add it to cart. As we go through the checkout process, one of the big things that I wanted to reestablish that I think the big name brands do very well is this feeling of secure checkout. Right on the checkout button here, I actually added an icon with a lock. I want James to really feel like, hey, he can trust us through this process. So Rachel, go ahead and click the checkout, please. And as we go through this, you can see actually if you use your magnifying glass or microscope again, it says secure checkout. Really this vocabulary, important to reinforce that trust. There were really, when we interact with brands like this, that we're not too sure, maybe first time we came across, we are skeptical, no doubt about it. But here we want to make James feel good. Rachel, you can just go ahead, click on that, continue as guest, and then fill in the shopping. You can complete, you don't have to write in your information. Just go ahead, click through it, and yep, place order. Perfect, perfect. So a couple slides left, guys. I'm sorry I've gone over due to technical difficulties. But anyway, so I put 3 users through that same exact test. And I'm really happy to report these findings. Once again, we have our little wins, but big opportunities. The little wins were customer or users knew exactly where they were on the site at all times. Thank you, breadcrumbs. They also knew what exactly they were buying with clear product descriptions, shipping timelines, reviews from other customers, as well as variable product photos. Really allows you to engage with the website. And most importantly, all these things really build up to trust, right? We want them to trust us during that process. But as we always say in UX, the design is never finished, right? And the opportunities that I found and I learned were that the users love discount codes. If you put that in there, they are slamming that discount code, try to either use their Honey app, or as I saw on competitor websites, competitors have pop-ups with shipping, with like a shipping code or 20% off code. Users love codes. Also, giving more options on terms of, transparency before checkout. I want to make sure, one of my users was like, I wouldn't buy this if I didn't know how much it was after tax and shipping, which I found really interesting. It actually hit home because I'm like, I actually don't blame you. And the other two, sizing chart, color options, once again, more transparency that honestly, I just never really knew, would even consider until I heard that type of feedback. Rachel, next slide, please. And iterations that were made immediately after those tests, really spacing issues or proximity, the top sellers, people were getting lost. They're like, wait, is this the title of the page? So if you move that closer with the other faceted navigation, you'll see that people will gravitate towards that left side of the page. Also, giving the user feedback. Once they add something into a cart, I just completely overlooked this. I was like, they were like, wait, is there anything in my cart now? What if I continue shopping? So I added that little one on the cart. I think it looks fantastic too. So pat myself on the back for that one. And the last thing I learned and iterated from is the faceted navigation. People love filters. In my affinity map, it was just like filters, sorting, filters. How can I organize this to narrow down the results that I want? People need things and they need them immediately. And that really goes right into my conclusion. Future iterations, I will be sure to add a confirmation page. I'll be sure to add that free shipping discount code pop-up and build out a more robust faceted navigation so that the user can find exactly what he or she is looking for. Throughout this process, I've learned the hard way many times, but how important it is to really have that design system that will not only save you time as you're putting together your prototypes, but my most important thing, and when we think about James and we think about all the users on our site, it's all about creating that consistent and familiar experience that makes it easy to accomplish tasks and have them come back and spend more money with us. And that's it. Next slide, Rachel. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Kudos, Matthew. Thank you, Rachel. Way to go on navigating all the things that can come up during a presentation, for sure. The presentation or the Google conference that I spoke at last Saturday, you handled the technical difficulties way better than what was happening at the beginning of that virtual conference last Saturday, where it was 20 minutes of like dead space that the organizers had to fill in with banter and anything, all that stuff. So you handle it like a pro. Kudos. And really awesome job on owning the presentation and in making it your own to bring your authentic self with the jersey that you put on. Did you really order the jersey from? No? Yeah?
I can't say.
You can't
maybe,
say.
Maybe. Give me, yeah, I mean, definitely consider that while you're grading this, but I'll tell you after.
Oh, okay. But yeah, whether you bought it on the site, and definitely not required to have bought anything on anybody's site, but it was an awesome touch to kick off with like the jersey to connect it to the brand It was definitely on brand with what you were discussing. In the entire design process, with your background in digital marketing, and I heard you talk about SEO, were there any other instances or parts where you're like, aha, like I identify this, or I did this because like it was informed by your background from digital design?
Absolutely. I think you can't unknow what you know. But one thing that I actually wanted to bring up, that was a conversation between you and I, Sophia, that I think is worth sharing with everybody, is one of the biggest challenges that I had with card sorting was that knowledge of like, hey, I know my digital marketing background is telling me, let's target the people that are the most profitable for this business, who are people like me, people like Big Game James, the ones that are sports fans and like, hey, I'm looking for a jersey and I need it now, not those other the secondary or tertiary users. So I went to Sophia and I was like, I can't figure this out. Why would I do a card sort if like it says NBA? I know all the NBA teams, and I was bringing that knowledge, and it's almost like one of the things I always coach clients as well is like, let's go back to the very beginning, like explain on the homepage, explain like, what is an NBA team? Well, they're a basketball team. And we talk about inclusion a lot. I think that really allowed me to step back. And that was a challenge that I was able to overcome.
Cool. Yeah. And you did a really, really good job of that. I was wondering after that conversation if it was going to still stay as NBA, or if the methods that you did were going to earth any like insights. So it was really cool to see you allow like your insights to kind of take the reins on it. But yes, definitely to Juli's point, the curse of knowledge. It's so hard to like unlearn or like kind of take out our own like knowledge of things and continue to place ourselves in the user's shoes. But yeah, kudos, great job with that.
Yeah, I also wanted to call out, there's so many free tools out there, you guys. So take a page from Matt's book and leverage those free trials of tools to get that stuff. You may not be able to use it for every single project throughout the cohort because it may expire, but you can test something out that's pretty sweet. Yeah, SEMrush, for his competitive analysis, he found some really good information there that was helpful. So take advantage of those free trials out there. If you see something that might possibly be helpful, grab it, use it on your project. It's cool that when you put it in your portfolio, they're not going to know that you use a free trial. They're just going to see, here's another thing you know how to use. So good job. And just also wanted to point out how some of the tiniest things are enormous trust signals. Matt was talking about the cute use of the trophy to highlight the popular items. That was just a tiny little touch, but it looked so thoughtful, and it looked as though a lot of intent was behind it. Solid work on that daily deal when swapping to sorting by price, that the very first thing that came up had red and was a daily deal and today only, and it's urgent. If you don't save your money today, too bad for you, you're going to pay full price tomorrow. The lock icon on the check call to action button, the item added to the shopping cart, all those tiny little details help people feel as though they're being cradled almost in this safe place. Go ahead.
No, my experience tells me that they expect it now. And that's why websites like Sports Fever are struggling to keep up with their competitors. It's like your site was kind of built freehand, and never call someone's baby ugly, but there's so many opportunities that using our brains we can put together and be like, hey, this is the standard now.
Yeah, and you are taking in that like sponges every week. We can see it as we watch your work grow from week to week. So keep that up. Those users love codes, totally true. So that may be the quote of the day. Matt gets a lot of the quotes of the day. in here, I've noticed. But users love codes, totally true. So great work, great work.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Plus one to everything the instructor said. Excellent job, handled that like a pro. We